So those are his myoelectric signals. And what those signals are doing is showing pretty much which muscles are being activated. And while we don't have a direct map to his anatomy, it doesn't matter to us that much. All it's going to matter is that if we teach a machine learning algorithm, it recognizes it. So keep your hand like this, right next to your body. And do a close, a hand close for me. Yeah, like that. Keep it that way. And now rest your hand. You can let your well, not that much. Keep it up here and rest this part of your hand. Right? Perfect. So what you see is that part in the middle that's active, that's the pattern associated to his hand close movement. Now, if you open your hand, open, just keep it open. You can flex your fingers outwards a bit. Yeah, there we go. So that's open. So you can rest now. And you see that there's a difference in the pattern. It's not really significant to the naked eye, but it's there. And so you can rest it again. And now rotate your wrist in one direction. A bit harder. Okay.
You can really see the difference when I was using it hard.
Yeah, and you can rest now. You can rotate in the other direction. See, again, different muscles, and you can rest now. And finally, can you extend the way you did right at the beginning? Right? And you can rest now, and you can flex, which is downwards, exactly. And you can rest now. So you can see these different areas where you're getting that different pattern of signals. And we're going to teach a machine learning algorithm to recognize that. But there's something very important, though, is that even when he's resting and not doing anything, he's still getting signals, right? So from the machine's perspective, that's as same a movement as any other, even though for us it's, of course, not. So it's very important that your rest, when you're like that, it stay consistent and it doesn't activate anything, because that's what it's going to learn to make sure that when you're not doing anything, it knows that you're actually not doing anything. So you're going to have 6 movements, which is actually 7 different classes. And those are going to be the movements that hopefully you're going to be doing on this hand as well. So this is where the fun part comes in, because I need to connect. Sorry, I'm showing my backside. What I'm doing is turning everything off, because as we know in technology, turning stuff on and off always helps. That's just common sense. You know, 90% of errors, you turn stuff on and on, off and on. So I'm going to ask you to come here, right here, and you're going to see images of the movements that we just did. And anytime you see an image, you do that image. And make sure your hand always stays in this position. And try very hard to make sure that when an image is done, you rest. So, for instance, if you're doing a palm down, which is rotating your hand down, if a close comes after that, you don't go to close immediately. You go back to normal, and then you do a close. Okay?
What's the default? This or this?
Whichever you want to be the default. Okay. So that part is up to you. Now let's see. Okay, so I'm going to press the button and it's going to start. Palm up is when you're rotating your wrist.
So always when there's an open, I should stretch out?
No, so there's going to be, the things are going to be written here, or it's just going to be written on the screen. So if you have, for instance, a palm up, you don't do anything with your fingers, you just rotate your wrist. If you have a palm down, again, you just rotate your wrist. If you have wrist flexion, extension, adjust the wrist. But when you have a close or open, you do just the fingers and the hand and not the wrist. Okay?
May I ask you for your name, please?
Martin.
Martin. Okay, Martin, I will equip you with the microphone. We can hear you, and actually, could you put it in your pocket, please?
Yes, of course.
We can experience it from the first-person view. And please do not hesitate to add commentary on what you are doing, we can enjoy it with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start and just focus on this and do what's said. And there's going to be 2 rounds of all the movements. So here we go. Exactly. It's just palm up. Now rest. Do nothing. Now palm down. Now back to rest and wrist extend. That's upwards.
Does this?
Yes. Now hand closed. Now hand open. Now wrist flexion is down. And this is going to go around one more time. Wrist extend. Palm up. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm sorry, but I've tried oftentimes to talk while this is happening, and it's very hard to concentrate on doing it. So I want to make sure that it goes well the first time so that we can enjoy him controlling my hand afterwards. So as a next step, what I'm going to try to do is connect to my prosthesis. And that's where the tricky stuff comes in. Hopefully, we won't have any issue with it right now. And great. Okay. So put your hand back up here where it was, and just a second, flex your wrist. Okay, that's a good start. Now extend it downwards. A bit more down. Well, almost. Rotate it a bit. There we go. Down is working now. Yeah. Rest it a bit. Rotate it backwards. A bit more. Stop. Now do an open. Let's see how that came out. It's almost there. Oh, there we go. And you can close it now. Love it.
Oh.
That's very nice, and that's the first try. Now, the interesting thing about that is that when I do this, or at least when I attempt to do it, I do the same thing. I'm trying to move my hand that I don't have anymore. This is called a phantom limb sensation, where my brain still has that part of my body mapped to some degree. And when I try to move it, I can succeed more or less, sometimes less, because there's no feedback mechanism going, right? So when I try to move my hand, I'm not getting any information back to the brain that the hand is actually moving, so it gets stuck. It's like trying to compress a really, really hard rock. And so these are exactly the types of stuff that I try to do. And here's where the next phase of the problem comes in, because it looks nice and it looks interesting that you can control it. And yeah, we're going to try to go a bit further with that, because there's no feedback, as I mentioned, which is a big problem. One of the best forms of feedback that we have is something called proprioception. Has anyone heard about that before? Not a lot of hands shot up in the sky. Proprioception is a very deep and visceral sensation that we have, and we have it all the time. And it allows us to feel our body and know where it is in space, where it's positioned in space. So that's what helps you in the middle of the night when you get a text message and you're just trying to find your phone on the side to bring it in front of you. You can do that because you always know, even with a closed eye, even with it in the dark, where your hand is in space. Now, I don't know that with this. The only feedback I have from it is looking at it. That's some sound, but I can't really map that efficiently to anything. So when I try to pick something up, for instance, let's say this bottle of water, which is neatly tucked away behind the laptop, I have the same difficulties as you're going to have trying to pick it up for me. So let's try and do that. Can you extend it, flex it? No, yeah, sorry, extend it, correct, yeah. Now rotate it a bit. Yeah, nice, nice. Okay, let's go. Can you extend it a bit? Yeah, perfect. Now close. Oh, that's great. I'm going to put this under here. Now, that's definitely... The applause is for you. Oh, you're moving your hand. Watch out for that. Thank you. And so, well, I can't take off the bottle, but I think it's better right now because we have everything full of water here. But now you have to gently try and put it towards my mouth. So, yeah. So there we are. That's how long it takes to pick up a bottle of water and drink from it. And for me, just as much. So I'm going to let you open your hand. Thank you very much. You were fantastic.
Thank you.